Good day, ladies and gentlemen. I know people have said to me, don't use the flying camera, drives me nuts, makes me sick. I'm so sorry, I don't have an awful lot of choice. I'll do my best to be as un-jerky as possible. So here we have a Hartwood 335 in left-handed Ovision. Now I tell you what, I do have, the thing is, you see, I do have a gimbal thing, but you know the problem with the gimbal is it's bulky and it's sort of, I've tried it out at this sort of close-up thing, and it's great for walking down the street, but it's not great for this. Anyway, we've got a Hartwood here. I've forgotten. Is this a gear for music guitar? Probably. Left-handed, and it's come in for new tuners, new pickups, and obviously that means, oh no, the unspooling from hell. So here we have, you know, fairly conventional looking 335. I mean, you know, budget, made in Vietnam to a budget, but shouldn't be anything too astonishingly good or bad about it. You know, there's a sort of standard kind of production. I mean, there are some small details that maybe look better on more expensive guitars and so on, but you know, it's a playable looking 335. We've got the jack socket down here, which looks a little bit, I don't know, oh, it's a little bit loose, right? Note to self, a little bit loose. So yeah, so the switch is going front to back instead of the more conventional up and down, unless I'm mistaken. There's something here I'm kind of interested about. See, these cheaper things do weird things when it comes to left-handed guitars. So quite often they send them out with right-handed nuts on them. Well, maybe not on a 335 style, but on the Strats you often find a right-handed nut turned round so that it slopes the wrong way. Anyway, this one here, I've got a feeling that this is back to front as well, because sometimes on some guitars you'll find that there's a slightly wider notch here for the lower fat strings on a right-handed guitar, getting thinner as you go up here. So if that's the case, we'll flip it round, depending on which side, but we can switch it around. So once, a bit later on when the strings are off, I'm going to look at that, and if it is the inverted commas wrong way round, I'll spin it round and we'll put the screw heads on the back side, which some people like anyway. It's easier to get to from this angle usually. So we're going to do a setup. We're going to put a tusk nut on. The problem with the tusk nut is I've got a left-handed tusk replacement here, which is a fraction wider well, I mean hardly, about half a mil wider on the string spacing, and there's room for that. But tusk left-handers are quite difficult to get hold of, or find the right ones. And what Tusk, of course, doesn't do, and I checked this out with John Hornby Skews the other day, is they absolutely never made a left-handed version of this, so I can't use it. I can't make it adjustable. Not without grinding the nut down, cutting the top off the nut, I should say, and then sort of fabricating one from scratch in this sort of style here. Let's zoom out a minute. In this sort of style, which is a 3D printed base with this, in fact, is a bone nut on top. But it's made with a 3D printed foot. Good old Gerard, right? So this actually works pretty well. Now, had I got a few left-handed Tusk spare nuts, which I don't, regular ones, I might have given that a try. But given that this is a job that the customer would like to have back, I'm going to go for solid fixed nut at the right height, but do it sand it from the base up to the exact height. So it's going to be a bit slow process, that, but I'd rather get fixed good nut and retain. My favorite things is retaining the Tusk factory slots, which is a good idea because they're smoother than hand filed ones, even though hand filed ones are pretty good. I prefer, wherever possible, and that's only wherever possible, because sometimes it isn't, I prefer to preserve the factory slots. Now, you might think, what the hell's going on here? This is my custom-made getting ready to, if I need to pull pots and things out backwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, if I zoom out a bit more, are we up 1:1? We are now. So what I do is I will widen these out individually. I'm going to try and do this without breaking them. So I'll widen them out individually like this, and when the time comes, I'll potentially place one of those on a pot shaft and heat it round the shaft. Oh, matron! That will give us a grip strong enough to allow us to pull the pot back through the hole and keep it in line the whole way through the operation. I was looking at this guitar, and one of the things I thought is there is a quicker, or not a bit quicker, there's a sort of less, no, rewind. I don't like 335 rewirings, pickup upgrades and stuff, not because I don't like customers to want to have them, only because what we have here is, if you, whenever, this is a little bit, this is quite close, so this isn't actually that difficult to get to, but when we have to, if we're going to replace the pickups, we have to bring the pickups to here, the wires to here to change them, and we have to pull these out to unhook the original pickups to pull them out. To get these to come out, very often these have to also come undone and be dropped in as well. So sometimes just to get two out that we want to work on, we have to get all four undone, and sometimes also the jack has to come undone as well, which is a pain. I think the switch usually can stay in place, but that is a bit of a pain. So you know, we'll end up doing a number of things, such as pulling the knobs off. But I'm not going to do the change of pickups just first. While we've got old strings on, I think it probably makes sense to do the nut first. Excuse me, the nut first, followed by the setting the action and getting the frets leveled first of all. So, and then we'll come back once I get the strings off. We'll come back and do all the other stuff. So I'm going to fly the camera, sorry if it's a bit quease inducing, but fly you down to this end. See if I can get you in place. Where before I do fret leveling, what I would like to do, hopefully no strings breaking. This looks like a nut that's been converted from a left-hander. I could be wrong. Sorry, right-hander. I could be wrong, but so I'm just going to slack these off. Hopefully they will survive the slacking off because because we don't want to have to put on extra strings. It's nice to be able to use the one set. Oh, this nut's not glued in. That's good. So off it comes in one fell swoop. It's got a little bit of a shim under one side there. Bone nut. Yeah, it looks like, I think it was probably already a right-hander changed to a left-hander. So what's going to happen is the action on this is very, very low in some places. So I don't really want to take that as a guide to what I need to do. So okay, so this is all right. This is a kind of more of a Les Paul style nut. This is a bumper. What I don't want to have to do is try and find the left-handed nut that I don't have. No. What have I got? I've got a blank, which is a bit of a pain too. I wish they made a left-handed tusk adjustable for the 0 fret business. Okay, well this is quite wide. First things, let's take this off. So it's quite wide, and the nut I've got is more of an ES style thing. So it may be that I have no choice but to make an adjustable, but actually the truth is, judging by this, I probably have no choice but to make an adjustable one from scratch, because we don't really have any alternatives. We could go on a bit of a looky and find something. Okay, oh, there's quite. I'm just looking at this. Quite a lot of fretware on here, so this has either been played pretty hard in places. Okay, so this isn't going to be a good outcome. And we have back to fronty. So if we had a replacement block, that's the right size, but we would need either. I don't think we've even got a good quality left-handed bone nut. Let me just have a quick look where all my spares currently live. We used to have things. So this is going to be sorry, not on camera here. Let's see if we've got anything that's right for this. Well, here's a left-handed tusk nut, but that is going to be too narrow too. So we'll write that off as a no. Right, everything else will be right-handed. Knowing my luck, that's a 7-string. We don't want that one, do we? So there's a left-handed. That's plastic, more something. We have a tusk top piece. Do you know what? Good heavens above, that might even be the business. Left-handed tusk could make it into a custom-made one. So let's have a look. What's required? A bit of a time-consuming thing, but better than not having a thing at all. Because if we can do that, at least we'll have an adjustable one, which is quite cool. Alternative is I go hunting for another one, which could take quite a bit more waiting time, unfortunately. Although we might find that my JHS account gets me things a little bit quicker, or maybe greater access to more nuts. Yeah, black. Actually, black would be okay, but then we've got a black, white base, black top. Anyway, so you can see I'm clutching at straws here, because it's either going to be go and start again and try and order something, or we make this cute thing work with one of the 3D printed bases. Which would look like 1, 2, and 3s with foot. So it would look something like 1, 2, 3, 1, 3, 3 with the foot. So foot, yeah. I'm kind of partly determined to make this work. It's just nice having the challenge appear in real life. I've used one of these before, but only as a test. I'm trying to think, have I actually done one for myself? Come on, come along. Okay, so here's my, I don't know what you can see, but here's my little foot that I would affix to there, and I would drill through and get me basically make me oops, don't go in, don't go all the way in. So I've got to glue it together, but I've got to get it evenly spaced, so let's just make sure that everything is evenly spaced. Okay, that's dead center spaced. This has to be dead center spaced. Let's give it a go, since since it's either that or I switch the camera off and we call it quits and I go shopping. Go shopping. So here's some gooey, sticky super glue, which we will lather onto here. Now this will be partly stuck down by virtue of, partly held in place by virtue of the screws that go on there anyway. So we don't have a lot of time to get this right, the exact position on this. And that is pretty close. And then I'm going to press down. That's probably going to move it around a bit. Go back and check. Okay. Don't like this container of glue. It's growing its own glue monster in there, which is impossible to work with. Okay, so this is my double custom tusk nut. Now what do I need? I think I probably would get some accelerant onto it for this bit here. Sorry about the camera work. Put it over here and spray it. Get in there. Okay. Okie dokie. One conversion thing. And then we can actually just scrape away any excess that's sticking out so it doesn't get in the way of anything. That's good. Probably would have been just as well to put that in a clamp of some kind, but it's difficult to do because it's got a sloping edge to it. Okay, well, so that's our homemade adjustable nut sitting there ready to go. But then next thing I'll do is I want to drill my screws. Now the size of the grub screws with this in mind, let's just think about this, because if I go, this is done in two bits, so it's going to go through onto there. I wonder if I've got any. I think I might. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud. I don't know what the. I'm trying to think of the grub screw sizes that I've got available, and the. I think what's the word I'm looking for? The thread tapping things, those devices. So I've got these little ones here. Those are a bit bigger. Those are smaller. Those are standard size. This is a 5. I've got the normal ones that I use. I've got standard ones for. It would be good. These are standard size for the, what do we call them? Oh God, what's the word I'm looking for? Saddles. So they would be a good size. Actually, a little bit short. They wouldn't be such a good size. We need something longer, so it might have to be silver. Even if we went for these, they'd be long enough, probably just about long enough. But we could actually do slightly longer if we've got any kicking around in the department. But the problem I have, if it's a problem, is I don't rightly know just yet what the M size is and what I'll be cutting with. That's too big. What does it say? That says, I don't know what it says, M4. M4. So M4 is going to be too big for all of these things. So that's out of the question. So it might have to be another one from this set. Let's see if we can find it first. Pointed ones, yes, pointed ones, right. Get these things out of the way. So Sorry about this. This has gone off on a tangent now, as you could tell. And if it's not a goer, then I'll be going backwards to the buying department, and then what we'll do is we'll just get the fret leveling done. Okay. Now I believe I can't see what these say. M2.5. This says M2.5. This is a standard one, and we use a 1.5 hex key for a watt thread, 2.8. Okay, so we drill, I think we drill at 2.5. I'm guessing I might have to do a test one and find out. There's a 2. Drill at 2 and cut out to 2.5. Shall we give it a try? Let's do a little test on something. What can we test on? A bit of plastic. Drill first, a bit of plastic next. Drill first, bit of plastic, bit of bone even. Well, yes, let's try it out on a piece of tusk, a flat piece of tusk. Right, let's drill the 2 mil hole. Let's just have a see where this fits. 2 mil. That's about right actually, but kind of difficult to do by hand, but it does actually work. Theoretically. I'm cheating. I'm doing it by hand rather than take apart my existing thing, whatever that's called, tapping thing, bit, die, tapping, what's it, anyway. So this is 2 millimeters, and let's just see if this works as our standard size. No, see, that's the wrong sized thing. We don't have any bigger ones here. What would that take? Well, whatever it would take, we ain't got it. So this has to be, what did we say it was? 2.4. Oh no. So that's an M. It's more like an M3, isn't it? This was M2. This was M2.4. So we have to jump up to a different size, and if we haven't got it in our other kit, then we're buggered. Which is a bit silly really, because these appear only to start from things like M3. There's something here that might just do it. Is that big enough? M3. So we reckoned M3, didn't we? So the hole's wrong. M3 will then, if that's M3, then that's, what did we say? 3. We want 2.5 bit, which of course I won't have. 2.5 in HSS style. Come along. Sorry about this. My well sorted pile of stuff here, as you can tell. 2.5, 2.5. Thank you. Right, let's do the next test. Let's drill out, over drill the hole to 2.5, and then we'll come back and we'll M3 tap it, thread it. What did we say? Oh yes, M3. So I'll try and do it by hand again. Okay, so that sort of looks doable. I'm just taking the easy way out instead of getting the whole kit out. Just Nice thing about tusk when you do it is it's pretty soft, so, or relatively soft, so it does you can do a drill and a tap by hand. Okay, so now we've got a 3, and we're going to see if this fella goes in here or whether it just falls straight through. Okay, that's the size we want. Ooh. So we go and we mark up our start point, which I should have done before I put the foot on. Foot on. So I will do this by careful hand holding. I need to make a small hole first, probably out of sight, onto something solid. You can go out the way for a minute. You can go on here. I'm going to make a start on these. I'll be back to you in a minute. Okay, that's coming up the back side or the slopey side. Slap bang in the middle. That's not good. Thank you. Mark the first hole. And then we'll mark the second hole. That's just from some experience of doing it by hand. Just getting a little, what's the word? I don't know what the word is. Dent? No, yeah, you know what I mean. A little mark, imprint. So we've got the center point marked, and then I can take it to the pillar drill and drill straight down using the 3mm. So just, sorry, stay there. Don't move. I'll be back in a minute. It's just a, if this doesn't work, I will accept defeat and we'll just have to put off the nut to another day and try and buy one in that's as close as we can get left-handed. But there is a limited range. That's the only downer on this. But there's always a good opportunity to try out the making something from scratch. Now I'm going to go straight down through this. There we are. Oops. Damn. Didn't go all the way through, you fool. Went some of the way. Now you're going to have to line it up and start spinning with the bit in there, which isn't the best thing in the world. Here you go. I haven't got enough hands. Okay, good. First one. Now here we go. And he's done it again. Didn't quite go through. Not far off. Okay. Yeah. Drilled. Now we go gently tap this out. Really, the most thing we're tapping here is the tusk part of the deal. The 3D printed plastic will cut, but it's probably the weakest part of the combination. We don't really expect it to offer too much grip. Now we're coming back out. Second one. Just easier than rigging up the whole die thing kit. This will cut through by hand quite nicely. Once it gets its own bite, it's away. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm going to use this to I'll use this to set the height action for fret leveling now, which we'll do. And if I don't like how it performs, then I will replace it anyway. So look at that. Oh, I do like it. I wish one of these days I ought to write down all the correct numbers. You know, which are the ones that I only know the one I use every time for the Stratton Telly style saddles, nuts. So the problem I've got now is these are pointy ones. So I'm going to put that in there because that's going to be used again in conjunction with nuts and things, so that's better that it's kept together with those. Out of the way. Clear those up in a minute. So yeah, so what I'd want to do at this point is I want to take down the points on here. I don't want them digging into the oops, something went ping. We don't want them digging into the plastic, so I want as flat a foot as possible. It's going to take a bit of sanding. I might go on a hunt for some other, what do you call it, grub screws that came out. Oh, I know, I had some taller ones, didn't I? Were these any good? No, they're flat-footed, but they're not much taller. I had a set around here that I think I might have put in here. There's always some leftover very tall grub screws if you really look hard enough, which of course I can't find immediately. Leftover grub screws of the very tall kind, please. Yeah, right. And there's precisely none in here. Bugger. Alright, well, there are some here, which could save me the time so far as they're already kind of rounded off, no, squared off, so they're not going to be much. Actually, they might be a bit taller. Do you know what? They might just be. Let's remove these. Yeah, they are taller. That's good. Alright, we're starting out with taller and flattened. I'm going to leave the tall sticky up bits here for the time being because I can shorten them later if I have to. Or I'm just going to look out, see if there is actually a shorter one that's still better. Now, these are American style ones that we don't want. Hey. Any short imperial ones? No, they're all the same size. Okay. So yeah, like I said, I'll leave them tall, and then we'll shorten them as required. So we have nice flat feet. Like so. Actually, we don't want them all the way out just yet. So the idea is we fit this to there, like so. Oh, this one has, see what's happened. This one has bulged slightly, so we need to trim it down or else it won't fit inside the little base. Tick's finger slightly out of the way. Okay. Dial these in so they're not in the way at all. Okay, I can look at that. That's our made up pretend one. So what I'm going to do is I'll take these out for a minute. I will sand this flush, which is what we always want to do. We need this surface to be nice and flush to sit in there like so. Okay, whoops, left-handed, that's right. Okay, sit it in there, nice. Now currently it's too tall still, but we'll take it down at the bottom a little bit as well. Bear with me. This is the trials and tribulations of the long distance setter-upper. Give me a nice flush front to this, please. Come on, I want it flush. You can see what I'm looking at. It's a little bit of sanding required to get these two parts nice and flush with each other on this front edge. I don't mind it's a little bit mucky to begin with because I'm interested in just getting them sitting nice and smooth and flush. Okay, all right. Now that's still a bit tall, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bit off the base here. If this doesn't work, if it's much too, God, noisy, if it's much too tall, then I'll put a lower base on. I'll change it out in a second for a lower base. How much too tall are we looking? Well, we can do a quick test by trying to drop the strings back in there, if it will permit us to do so. Squeeze it down. So I'm sorry if this is not showing up very well. I've got things in the way. I'll move and tidy up everything in a minute. Whoop. Okay, so that's sitting down on there. Actually, that's just almost just about right. It's pressing that down onto the first fret, which is sort of just about where we want it to begin with. So I'll take a tiny bit more off the base. Let's have a look. Make sure it's nice and smooth. Then, in a moment, before a bunch of clearing ups, we'll put that in there, press it down, nice and firmly seated it. Let's put all these back on for a minute and see where we end up. Yep, that's on the deck. Can't hold things anymore. Get this lined up perfectly. So everything is touching the deck. So the game now is to get these little feet in, fiddly, the little flat feet, and put them in, get them in until they touch the bottom of the arrangement. We can use this as much as anything to get them in. Obviously these are now considerably too long. Okay, but we can now raise it up, and we've got the nice first thread action. Oh yeah. Ta-da-da. Right, so you see it. There's our adjustable tusk nut, custom made under duress. And we'll use that now for the fret leveling. Go on from there, and we'll get all of that done, and I'll see how it performs, and if I'm not happy with it, the way it performs, I will go into hunting down another one mode. Let me just put all these things away. So I'll also, at this point in time, I'm not going to bother about changing the orientation of the bridge. I'm just going to go ahead and treat the frets, but so we will set the bridge to a low action, and we'll set the neck relief and all of those good things, and we'll get those basics done. I mean, if it can't finish today because we need to get another bridge, another, you know that thing, nut, then that's fine. We'll get the fret leveling part done. Get some of these tools off to one side. You out the way. Sample out the way. All these things out the way. Excuse me. Right, we've still got our bits ready for the disemboweling and rewiring business. Okay, let us start again. Well, not start again, but let's zoom out a bit. Here we have the Hartwood ready to have the action set. It's quite busy here today because it's daytime. Some of you eagle-eyed people will notice that that's not my usual habitat. But, okay, so I'm going to take this opportunity to worry about where my marker pen's gone, and if and when I find one, then I will mark up the frets accordingly. Ready for leveling. Quite a lot of wear, so it's been played. One of the things that's difficult to know, and I've never got to the bottom of it, is the business about what frets are made out of, and are some fret metals or some alloys that they use stronger than others? Is there, are there variations in the whatever the word is, chemical constituents, compound characteristics? So was it copper nickel alloy, I believe, and that's about all I know. But you do get a feeling that some seem to wear quicker than others, and I know a lot of people have that subjective experience of a particular guitar they had, and the frets just seem to melt like marzipan or something. Does marzipan melt? I don't know, but you know what I mean. Soft and not very long lasting. So who knows? I mean, do I think that a Chinese factory is going to make fret metal to an absolutely rigid, international alloy standard? I don't know, really. I'm not sure why it would. looks like this was tuned down a step. Meanwhile, okay, so how we have it up and running, and we have a an action of some sort. So let's look on the top, high E, and look at the curvature of the neck. A very small amount of relief in there. I'd say it's ideal for setting as our start point, and I would only adjust it if there were issues, if something about it wasn't okay. It looks like the overall action set pretty low, but we can check that, and whatever it is, we'll make sure it's set to the target that I would go for, and then we'll aim to make the frets comply with that. So we've got 1.5 down there, and we're down to 1.5, so it's a little bit high on the high treble end. So I will be looking to dial that in a little bit, which will change the tuning, so I'll adjust that, and it'll set a quite a tough target to aim for, but why not? So if we go for the tuning again, doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so let us get on with the leveling part. Since we know we're going to do it, and we know we've got things where we want them, we've got the action at the nut that we want, we've got very flat neck, a nicely flat neck, not extreme but pretty flat, and we've got the last fret action set at a very low height, nice challenging low action, which this guitar should be able to comply with. So we'll just get stuck into it and do the leveling, and then we can reassess. But also we can take the strings off after that, and we can start looking at the electrics, what needs to happen there. A solution I had in mind, instead of taking the electrics out, it would be possible, if you didn't want to take the electrics out, you could cut and rejoin the cables in the pockets themselves. That would be quite sort of an interesting way to go about it, but I think some people wouldn't be happy with starting out with new pickups but immediately cutting their wiring short. So let's have a look. Well, we've got some zones. We've got a low spot here. We've got nothing touching the first fret, so that seems low. We've got high, a level or a fairly high little hill here. We've got low one, high one, two low ones, cutting a little bit there, everything in a sort of plateau there, and two low ones right at the end. So it's not too bad, but this is the low E, which is the one that's along with the A, I suppose. These are prone to what I call fret slap, and it's a little bit harder for me to, well, it's easy to demonstrate because there it is. Now, these strings are pretty well knackered, but what you're hearing there is what I call fret slap. So that's caused by it's caused by the fact that there are those ups and downs I've just demonstrated. This neck is it's not meant to be level right now because we've got a bit of curvature in it, but what it's telling us is that the curve is by no means a smooth or even curve. It's got these high spots and low spots, and as a result that's what's causing that little bit of choke out. Now admittedly we've set it on a very low target action. We're expecting a lot of it at this stage, so it's quite a high expectation, but the way we have to think about it is if we want it to free up that little bit of space that's been effectively taken away by the fact there are these hillocks and hills and valleys, I suppose, then we have to sort of basically bottom everything out a little bit, or even everything out, using the banana tool. And so it's, you know, starting to get, I'm starting to use it, what might seem fairly aggressively, but that's because I know what the challenge is now on this low E track. Now I expect on this little run now you might be able to hear an improvement. Still some here, but it's a little bit better. Not sorted by any means. We'll just check playing action again here. Quite hard to see on a, unless we do it the other way around, but even then it's still hard to see. Well, yeah, that's about 1.5. So it's telling us that this thing is, you know, ups and downs. I can see actually. It's got ups and downs along the way. So unless we can even that out using this method, we're still going to retain. We're going to retain this. Actually, that's not that bad. Actually, not that bad. Let's do a little bit more, just to be on the safe side, and then we will move on. The E is always the low E is the hardest one as far as fret slap is concerned. So now what I'm doing is I'm going to try and really just let the curve of this do the work now. So I'm not really applying any serious downward pressure. I'm just kind of concentrating on backwards and forwards, and hopefully this curve in this rod will just give us back as much space as we can from this. Okay. That's much better. Impressed. I'm going to use the same calibration on this side of for the A, because when we start we have to use one calibration twice, strangely enough. So again, this one is less about any particular high frets, more about concentrating on that whole curve and smoothing it out. Often you find that if there's problems, they don't track all the way across the fret, all the way across that radius. Sometimes they change, and a fret that has a problem over on this side has no problem on this side, and another one does. So there's quite a bit of variation. So again, looking at this, the high ones showing up, same pattern up here, two low ones at the end, low ones here. But we'll try it and see. I'm lifting it over the hex grub screw. Hex key grub screw is the word I mean. It's not bad. Perhaps a tiny bit at 13 and 14, if that. There's a low spot here, so that's probably why. I'll just level that out a little bit more. And when I come to that, I sort of press a little bit more now in that zone. Not much, just it's like I'm focusing my attention on it a little bit more. You see I'm moving from side to side as well. I'm following the radius a bit, so I don't just put a flat and angle tangent. What was a tangent? I can't remember now. Anyway, so now I'm going to switch across to the D track and recalibrate it there. That's still good. when I recalibrate, I'm looking to make sure that the banana leveling file is I suppose simulating the curve or reproducing the curve of this neck, but it's doing it more smoothly than the neck itself does, and that's why it has quite an interesting effect on what I call the fret slap caused by the that sort of uneven topography of the neck, that sort of bumpiness. I used to think it was a lot to do, I used to think some of those patches of buzz were to do with single frets, and actually single uneven high or low frets that's good. Single high or low frets are usually confined, you spot the effect is in one place only, and that's a single high fret. When you have sort of clusters of buzz as you go up, and it sounds the same regardless of which note you're playing as you go up, it just tracks up with you. That's what I call fret slap, and that's what gets improved by using the banana tool this way. It's not a separate function, but it's kind of, I think of it as a separate mental activity. So I kind of attack it a little bit differently if I'm aiming at a single, or if I know I'm leveling a single high spot on a fret. When I know I'm trying to impose this gentle curve of this tool, the smooth curve of this onto the unsmooth, imperfect curve of the fretboard, I'm kind of thinking of this, this tool sort of going onto the bumpy underneath and just gently smoothing it out as a whole. And in doing so, it's not about leveling a single fret, but it's about clearing up a little bit more space, and that seems to be what helps the fret slap sound to go away. Now I'm on the G track. The other thing to kind of know about the G track is that the G track is where any unevenness shows up when you bend notes on the high strings, or the high E for example. So when you're bending a high E here, oh, don't do that to me. Fix chokes, usually chokes out in the high G, or in the G track somewhere here. When the string gets to here, it tends to choke. Now I've just leveled the G so it's not choking, which is good. I think I've already taken care of it. That was interesting. So I think this string is falling apart. See that? That's untangled, unstrung itself, so it's going to go. If I stretch it anymore, that's going to break. So I'm just going to use it as a means to put pressure on the neck with the other strings, and let's get this leveling done. So I'm happy that there aren't any chokes going on in the G track where we bend across the high E. That's important. That's another major consideration for anybody who plays the guitar. They're going to want all their notes to play without choking and or without choking when you bend them up across the fretboard. And this is quite an interesting area, because what happens is the rounder or the more tight the radius of the neck is, or the radius of the fingerboard is, the more likely a bend on the high E is going to choke out on any imperfection on the G string stroke G track. And there comes a point where actually you really can't overcome that geometry. There's a point where the geometry or the radius is so tight or rounded that you can't go any lower on the action, because bends, the notes will all play, but the bends will choke out. It's good. Little fizzle up there, 12, 13, 14. Actually 13's a low one, so that's why it's That's why it's doing it. But I'll just put a bit of focus on 13 now to help it on its way. There it is. Here's the naughty one, as the goons would say. Sort of. Now when I say I'm putting some pressure on that one, what I really mean is I'm having to bring the ones either side, including the rest of the neck, because the tool is resting on it, but I'm having to bring the ones either side down a little bit. And that's actually the only thing you can do to address a low fret. And that's a bit of a pain. So when you do this a while, you'll come to realise that it's the low frets that dominate what happens, or dictate what happens, or limit what happens with your action, more than it is high frets. And in a way, it's probably not even, doesn't even make that much sense to think of them as any absolutes. There's no absolute high or low fret. They're only ever high or low relative to each other. That's the important thing. And a low fret somewhere relative to its neighbours will make its neighbours high. Of course, it's the one in front of it that matters. And so a low fret will make the next fret behave as if it's high, and in doing so it will choke out the note and so on. If the fret's really low, it can effectively make the next two too high, relatively speaking, and then you have you have both the next two notes choking. But the way around it is to take everything That's pretty good. That's a very low action. I'm going to go back to the G track just for fun, and I'm going to do one tiny bit more in the G track, and then I'm happy with that. And so we'll have done the precision fret level. So you can see that the precision, in a way, comes from two things. It comes from the basic physics of this action of leveling using a curve, and the reason the truss rod curve, the banana curve, is more perfect, inverted commas, than the guitar curve is because we sample the guitar curve at only 3 sample points. Okay, so if you think of a motion capture, this is just 3 points on the body, and they describe a curve, but actually in real life we know that stuff's going up and down between them, or this one might be at the top of the hill. But as far as the sample is concerned, it creates an overall curve of X amount, which we dial into this. Then we have a sort of smoothness of this, which the neck doesn't have, and when we put it back down, it helps to smooth out the bumpiness of the neck. That's why it's a good system. No other fret leveling system does that, by the way. That's why I stick to this like glue, he said in his best Welsh accent, South Welsh accent. Right, so now I am done as far as the fret leveling is concerned. So what I'm going to recommend is, when you've got an adjustable nut fitted, take off the outer strings first, on both sides, and that means you just prevent the opportunity for the nut insert, which is loose. Actually, it's fairly snug fitting, so it probably won't go anywhere on this guitar, but it prevents it from coming loose and pinging off. Okay, so there we have our nut removed. What I'll probably do, I may end up gluing, just very lightly gluing this in place, so we can carry on trying it out, and if it works, continues working well, then I will leave it. What I will also do is I'll just pull this up and take a look at how much we need the word is how much we need the grub screws to come through, and they only need to come through a tiny amount to lift the nut to where we want it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help process along by dialing in most of this, and since we don't want all of that excess, I'm going to use my flush cut cutters to try. Blimey, these stainless steel. God. They work with the smaller ones. Hellfire. Yikes. Yikes. Jesus. Pardon me. Yeah, note to self, don't go that size of grub screw. Don't try cutting that size because it isn't going to work very well. A little bit too big for my liking. You probably end up with broken pliers more than you end up with broken cut grub screws. Right, thank you. These are old ones anyway, but thankfully they withstood the torture. Right, so what I would do at this stage is I would get the sanding blocks up again, and at this point I would just once again sand out the difference, get the nice smooth pair of teeth. A little bit tricky because sometimes the screws like to move as you do this, and then they spin round and unscrew rather than sand flat. Get there in the end. Yeah, I think that will be close to flat as it will be. Maybe a little bit more on that side. Front edge, clip down, there we go. So that's all ready to go. Now the grub screws are way lower. I will put a tiny bit of, what's the word, that stuff, tiny bit of super glue, and tack it into place so that we can carry on using it. I think it's perfectly functional, so no point not using it. It's tusk, it's the right size, it's in place. There we go. You go on there, like that. Right, so now we're going to take off these strings and bin them. I've done their service as playing strings and as sacrificial strings. Come on, out you come. So we're going to replace the tuners as well when this is off, so we're going to get some locking tuners in the deal. Okay, out they come. Rather than pull the curly bits through, I'm going to cut these here. Just take these out in a nice cluster. Bin them. Right. Now we've got a mucky thing. Now, just having a quick look at these, just see if my theory was correct. No, actually the the saddles are all, the notches are all the same, so that's okay. We can leave it where it is. Not always the case, so it's worth checking. Okay, so next thing I'm going to do is let's get on and do the fret recrowning. So we've leveled the frets out, and in doing so we've put some flat spots on them, which is what you end up doing. And so to make them back into the best playing fret they can be, we need to reshape the fret, but doing so from the material that's left without going any lower, and that's where the marker pen comes in handy again, because it allows us to use the crowning file to round off the flat surface of the fret, but without touching the top of the fret, or the top of the crown of the fret. And so if we can round it off without touching the top of the crown of the fret, then we know that we haven't changed the action. I'll put it down here so you can probably still see. So I'm going to use the medium fret. It's kind of medium jumbo. I'm going to see what the medium looks like, and I'm cleaning up, helping to ungum the file as I go. Now I still can see some fret wear here, and the aim of my leveling is to get the action low and make all notes play without choking or buzzing. In the course of that, if we remove play wear, then that's great, well and good and all of that, but I'm not doing that as an end in itself, and certainly not exchanging fret life, i.e. fret metal, for the cosmetic improvement that you get, because these little grooves, they're cosmetic issues. They're not deep enough to affect play. I think sort of proof of that is Brian May's Red Special. Every time I think of fret wear, I think of the state of his. Apparently he's never refretted that guitar. I find that almost impossible to believe, but his guitar tech and he insist that's the case. So and you will see, if you ever get a close-up look at the Red Special, you will see that these frets are grooved to heck and back. So, and clearly they don't stop him performing and doing his thing all the time. So it's a pretty good real life example of how little an obstacle those frets grooves are. But you know, often people want them cleared up, and I do as much as I can in the fret leveling process, but I won't take loads of fret metal off here just to bring those down so they don't, the signs of play is completely eradicated. If we get that, it's a nice, it's a bonus really, but it's not a target worth pursuing, I think. So that's just to let anyone know if they get a guitar back with the tiniest, it's usually the tiniest bit of grooving down this end left. It usually gets rid of most of it, but if there's a tiny bit left, it's purely because it's not fair. It's not a worthwhile exchange, in my book. Okay, so after this, we've got the process of cleaning up the neck, polishing and sanding and polishing out the frets so that they're nice and smooth and ready to play again. So we have to do that, which I usually like to do off camera because it's boring and I can get a cup of tea and listen to the radio. And then after that, in this case, we will have the changing of the guard, changing of the pickups to do. Now, with this one, I'm now going to brush off and clean off as much of the gunge that we've made in leveling the frets. I'll use the little brush. first. So I had a stressful, quite intense parish council meeting yesterday, and I've got a village hall committee meeting tonight over the joys of local politics. Anyway, but it's kind of eating into my usual evening sessions, which is okay. We didn't have anything we had to do today during the day, hence being here. But it's the parish council one particularly, up till now, has been quite stressful. We've been wrestling a sort of neighbourhood plan process back on course, I think is a way of putting it. So we can actually use this document, as a means to protect the village from inappropriate development, and the previous version wasn't doing that. It was, in fact, it was guaranteeing excessive development. So we sort of, a bunch of us got involved and got it stopped, but also stood for and got elected as parish councillors with the purpose of helping to rewrite this plan so that we can be sure that it does something in line with what the village wants, not, well, I wouldn't even ascribe what the motivations were, who knows what they were, but not some strange and overdeveloped thing that the villagers didn't want. So, from my perspective, it's, I said before probably, but it's all about democracy. I'm an idealist, and I think that process is given to us by government to have the best possible say. It's not the only say. It's an influencing say from the village, that the village can have on the level and type of development that happens in the village. And it's not, like I say, it's definitely not the only say. It's a factor, and it's a formal means by which villagers, parish residents, whatever you call them, by which we can influence planning decisions. But, and this is the bit that I think is really hard for lots of people to get their heads around, it's not something that you can just get up and say your piece about. I don't think it's right, we shouldn't have this, we should have that, and then have done with it. This is why it appears to be stacked so firmly against the general public, is that in order to have a say or effective input through this vehicle called the neighbourhood plan, the village has to, right, where's my, here it is. The village has to make its objections or recommendations, has to couch them in strictly in planning policy language, which of course sort of suddenly means that villagers who are interested and want to contribute to this process have to suddenly become conversant with, if not experts in, planning policy, and the difference between, a view saying, I don't like the fact that it's spoiling this beautiful green village, and that view, which carries very little weight, and another view or another point which might say, I object to this view being destroyed because according to the local framework's planning statement of such and such date of such and such wherever, policy number 26B, maintaining a visual well-being of the neighbourhood, blah blah blah. It says quite clearly that green land should be preserved for the, for diversity and for village views or whatever. So the point being is you can only object to it if you use policy. And of course, 90% of the people in the village in any village don't have experience of doing that. Speaking, researching, knowing policy, researching it, speaking through it, to it, of it, is an alien business. And so anybody who gets involved in it, well, first of all, often people mistake, in the village, they mistake them thinking they've had a lot to say about it as not being heard, when in fact what they haven't done is they haven't gone through that labyrinthine process, that slightly alien process to get their objections recorded and formulated through policy, or through the window of policy, local development policy. Anyway, so of course, the village residents are on a back foot, on a losing wicket, because they don't have that experience, whereas of course the planners and the developers, who they're not monsters, they're just people who are more attached to building the thing that's going to work for them and make profits for them than they are to being attached to yours or my concerns about our neighbourhood, our environment. They're not that bothered with it the way we are. They want to build something, high quality homes in inverted commas, and make some cash. There's nothing I don't like that. I don't think homes and housing should be about that. That's where we've gone miles wrong in my book. But anyway, that's legal. Well, it's not illegal. It's part of our system. So they're going to do that. But of course, the imbalance is that they do it week in, week out, and they know exactly how to play the planning policy game and how to speak in planning policy tongues, and so the village and ordinary residents, most of whom are busy trying to just make a living and get by, have to suddenly get up to speed and try to compete on these same footing as both the planners and the developers, and of course behind the developers are the landowners, who want each and every planning application that the developers make on their behalf to be accepted, because if they are, then their land becomes vastly more valuable than if it was just agricultural land. If the developer's application is approved, usually the land then, or very often the land, it comes with a change of use of land, which then makes the farmer's land much more valuable. So of course the farmer doesn't really care what the village wants either. He or she wants to make the most possible money from their asset, namely the land. And farming probably isn't it anymore. So next best option is to sell it to a developer for the biggest price possible. So we poor villagers who are busy setting up guitars during the day and going to tetchy and sometimes incendiary parish council meetings, where even though I've only been on it a few months, you still have some entrenched people absolutely certain that you're doing it because you've got your hand in some sort of trough. There's backhanders, which is quite funny, because that's why I stood against people. Well, that's what I stood against. The bit of the Martin Bell anti-sleaze thing, as well as saving this thing. What's it called? The neighbourhood plan, and making it work. Anyway, so it's it's tetchy. It's a lot of aggro and sometimes online abuse. It's completely unpaid, and most of the time unthanked as well, sadly. Still, and that's how you have to do it. And like I said, the real challenge is for am I looking? Have I lost anything here? No. Yeah, the real challenge is for villagers to somehow learn how to express what the village wants through in policy terms, or framed by policy, should I say. Very difficult indeed. Okay, so what time is it? Checks the clock. So I've got a 6:30. I think I'm going to go till 4, and then I'm going to take off for an hour break before I go to the next meeting. So I'm going to go off camera at this point for the next bit, and I'm going to mask off the neck and do the sanding and polishing out, and then we'll get on to the next bit, which will be the pickups. And I might even come back up and do these after the meeting later on if I have the energy to do it. So see you later. Okay, welcome back. Here's the fun of the fair. All the fun of the... Now, what I would like, if I move this pile of tremolo arms out of the way, what I'd like to do, I'd like to get a higher viewpoint, which is... Oh, yikes. That's crap. Sorry. That's crap-ish. Let's just see what we can see from up there. Oh yes, very well, down there, or something like that, the end of the thingy. Well, you know, we can see a load of things. Not the greatest view, but the alternative is I bring it down here and give you a fruity close-up, and maybe I'll do that. That's probably more interesting than yet another long shot. Pippi Longshot. What was that? The cartoon book, Pippi Longstocking, wasn't it? Right, yes. Okay, well look, I'm going to go there for my view. You're going to go there for my view. So it's late, I've come back same day, and it's now time to take care of these things, namely change the pickups. So to do so that, what do I need? I need to fix something first. Remember this. So it's loose. So I'm going to use this to very carefully. It doesn't have any like it's not on a poker chip or whatever they call it. So it's very difficult to protect the finish while you're turning it, whether you've got a spanner or whether you're using an adjustable what's it like I am here. So I'm going to do my best to protect it as I go around with the spanner adjustable. So the idea is we're just going to keep tightening it up. It's not very good design, this. I don't like it at all. It's going to be as much as I can tighten it. It's alright for now, but with the way it's fixed through such a thin piece of wood, I don't really know how that's going to hold up. Right, so the fun part. I might even have to undo that, so it may have been a pointless thing to do what I just did. So the first thing I'm going to do, knowing that I've got to get these things out, so what we know about the wiring of these, I'm guessing, but it's usually a good guess, is that we are going to go from the pickups to the pots, and from the pots to the switch, and from the switch to the jack. That's the normal way of things, which means I need to get the volume pots out to replace the pickups, or to unhook the originals and to feed through and replace the others. So that's what I would start out with, unless something really weird and untoward has happened and they've wired it in some peculiar way. I doubt they will have. So the new pickups come with pickup rings already installed, so I won't have to change those over. So the question here is, once you take, or the interesting bit here is, once you take, the challenge I should say, is once you take these off and they fall through, normally you don't have any means to get them back up. I mean, you sort of can reach up there, but it's quite tricky. So, and some have even less access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do something that I like to do, and that is I'm going to just stretch these, and I'm going to put these what do I call them on, these little shrink tubing hats on, and I'm going to, if I can, get them as far on as I can get them, and then with courtesy of the soldering iron, I'm going to try and just melt round, avoiding obviously the finish. We've got to be careful, so you can't put heat on it, I mean hot air on it, because as you can see, it's too close, whoops, a bit extreme, too close to the finish. We don't want to be blowing hot air at it. So what I'm doing is I'm just getting myself connected up. So with a bit of luck, if I'm careful, I can use the heat from the gun here to cause the shrink wrap to grip the sides of the pot shaft nicely, and that, as I've done it before, tends to be tight enough for me to kind of retrieve this thing a bit later on when we need to. There we go. And we don't want to pull it right now while it's anchored, while it's stiff. We will only do it as we take these out, and then these bits of string will stay behind. We'll anchor those to the top of the guitar to make sure we can retrieve our pots back up into the correct holes when the time is right. So yeah, hot air not good at this point of the game. We definitely don't want to be blowing hot air at the finish here. Okay, there's 3 out of 4. So I'm doing all 4 in anticipation. I mean, some guitars may have enough wiring to allow me to just take the volume pots out. That would be nice, but I'm not assuming that would be the case. So I'm preparing to have to remove them, and it may be, oops, I've just gone through. That may or may not be very good. No. Let's do it again. Next bit. Bear with me, please. Clippers. So I burnt through that bit, and I ripped through that bit. Not being very careful today. There should be a special device for this. It isn't the way I'm doing it. Okay. So I'm going to use the hot air blower for this bit. See? And then expand the other end, and we'll hopefully get there again. Come along. Okay, that's that bit. Right, so the next bit we have is we undo each one of these. So let us begin with this one. Now doing these up is a difficult thing, because as is undoing them, because you haven't got anything to hold on to the underside with. You might be able to get a finger through there, but that's about it. Okay, so here we have the first one coming up. Now, for safety's sake, we'll take these off and put them off to one side, and then we drop this through. Let's see what it's already tangled up in something, tangling up in the wire that's going back to the jack. This is where it can get to be mighty good fun. In inverted commas, very large inverted commas, I have to tell you. This one might be easier because there's nothing, hopefully nothing in its way. So much for that. Okay, well, my little plan there didn't work out on that one either. Worked the last time I did this. It was very cute and it did the job. I'm going to try again. It would be good if we had some hot air to blow at it, but we can't. I wonder if we could. No, we can't. No. Let's try it again. Try it again. Yes, shrink wrap is wonderful when you can. Shrink tubing is wonderful when you can. I've just done it again. Hopeless. Shrink tubing is wonderful when you can actually get it to shrink enough to work. Wonder. I wonder. How far down does this go? Oh, okay. So I wonder now if I can use this to hoik this out through here. Ew! Bring that through. If I'm clever, I can actually put some hot air on this bit to really make sure it does stay. So we've got some little things, little cable ties holding this stuff in place. Okay, you stay on there. Right. So what did I just take out of there? Oh yes, I took out the bridge. The bridge thingy. Now that's interesting. So where does it all go? Where does it all go, I tell you? Oh man, what an absolute pig's thingy. So this little bundle of stuff goes absolutely anywhere and everywhere I wouldn't expect it to go. So that's going across to the tone, I would expect, and that one, bridge one, we don't even know what colour that is. Okay, let's do some, let's put these under, put a piece of sticky tape on them. So this is all where it starts to be made up as we go along, because frankly, Scarlet, that's remarkably sticky. Why is that so unsticky? Heavens. Come on. Okay. So this can come to there, should I want it. Now, while I'm at it, why don't I just make a note, mark on here, what's what. I seem to have lost just about all of my usable marker pens. There's one. So this is bridge volume, dangling here. And this one, I've got a feeling this is going to require that we take the switch out as well. I mean, that's ready to fall out, so that's not a big deal, and that's easy enough to get back in, so I don't think we have to worry too much about lining that one up. But blimey, cool, blimey. Yikes. Okay, so those pickups are 5-wire, whatever, and this is come out this way, so I'm going to make sure I know which way it goes back in. Front has an arrow. So this has gone down, but we can't see where to. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen these off. Fingers crossed we don't need to pull them out, but we just may need to loosen them to allow us to get the ones we do want out. Come on, please, thank you. Come along. Ugh, I didn't want to do that. So push that one down a bit. I'll put some tape on it. Okay, if you come to. Okay, in you go, out you go, round and about you go. Okay, so we have here the bridge volume, and we're trying to find out which one come along, you can do it. Okay, so you're going to come out too, are you? Okay. Where am I coming from? Where am I coming from? Please tell me. That's bridge volume, we know that, right? This must be something else. Don't snap off, you. So this comes out of... that's not what we want, is it? No, definitely not. Right, well, I think that's the only one that's currently free, footloose and fancy free. So what I'll do is I'll put another bit on and use the heat gun, and we'll do it that way. In fact, I'll have another piece or two just in case. So this one is... That's interesting, because this one has some washers on it and this one doesn't appear to. Oh yes, it does, they've fallen off. Oh, brilliant. Okay, next thing we do is try and find out where the little magnet's gone that we can use, possibly. Great, that's now nowhere to be found. We'll find another one, but a little purple magnet could have been handy. So this is going to be for this one. Find a magnet. Okay, and we know this to be, I've just gone and done the stupidest thing. I've taken it, put it on, but not threaded it through the hole, which is the whole point, literally. No pun intended. So we know this to be bridge tone. And what we really want now is this fellow to come up through the hole. Will we heck as like. So I've just made that nigh on impossible. You see what a desperately horrible arrangement this is. So if only that would go under there, and maybe it would stick up and poke through the hole. Will it hell? Come on, fellas. Right. That's the business. Okay, that's you there. Bridge volume, bridge tone. Okay, so looking between these two, the red one crosses over, and so the green one is the appears to be the pickup hot, and if we yank it through here, we should be able to see where it all joins up. How in God's name you get this through here, I don't know. Okay, so this is neck tone. Of course these are left-handed, so they are about thingy, left-handed, but what we can't get to just yet, which is slightly annoying, is this next bit, which is this big cluster here. Oh, crap. Okay, let's pull that through. Alright, so it's going to prove me impossible, because this is now, I'm afraid, now going to require me to undo this, which basically means this is going to drop in. We don't have any direct access to this now, because we can't fit anything in here that's going to hold it in place. So, well, the only way we could possibly do it is to put a jack in it. That's possibly a way. I'm not even sure if that's going to be effective. No, because we can't get that. We can't let it through into there. So that's a duff idea. So we have a danger now that we're going to drop this jack socket into here without any means of retrieving it, which is pretty lousy. So what we can do is we can tighten this up again. We can undo this, and then we end up with this hanging on here. But there's no way of holding on to it. We can only lower that into there. We can't do anything more useful than that. Okay, so that was this one undone. That's the neck tone over there. Yep. A bit more of this. Torn. That's torn it. So you can see what a beastly undertaking this is. That's why nobody ever wants to replace pickups or mess about in the guts of a thingy like this. Okay. So, now the only hope we have is that thanks to this thing being here, we might get a wee bit more movement out of this. What we're really looking to do is to see where... Oh, blimey. Oh, blimey. What a... That's the black one. Oh, I see what they've done, I think. Oh. See, they've rewound they've wired this in a way that's completely different to how I would expect it to be done. So it's all weirdness and weirdness. And the question is, can I get the useful end of this out through the hole to be able to do anything with it? There it is. Right, I think we're all sort of there. Right. So neck tone, bridge volume, neck volume. So neck volume is the hive of all activity, and it appears to be where lots of stuff is going on. Neck volume. Right, so the bridge comes in here and then runs all the way, sort of joined up. Somebody's joined. This is an absolute rigorous. I've done it to try and be tidy, and I understand that. But it leaves us in a little bit of a difficult spot. So there's a ton of wiring going on here, and that wire goes somewhere else. Okay, that goes to here. That's joined. So they've joined wires to go further around. They've extended wires to make a big sort of detour. Okay. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sever the neck pickup there. I'm going to sever the bridge pickup there. And I'm going to undo these for a minute. Sever. It sounds like a bit of a horrible word. So there's nothing right. Okay. So these are simpler pickups in a way. This is going to end up coming down there, through there like that. and it's going to combine with this yellow wire. That's all we have to really know. And we can put these two back in a minute. In over a minute. There we are, neck and bridge, which is, wow, oh my god, there's a hole. That's alright though, fair dues. It's got a bit of shielding too, which is probably a tad unusual. So we got another one of these cable tidies, which is okay, it's handy. It's difficult to keep track of what's where at this point. So there's our two out. Let's get our neck in first of all. There's a couple of different holes for the screws here, so a couple of attempts have been made at that, getting that neck pickup in place. Okay, so there's our neck is red, so just so we don't go insane, we go neck equals red, and bridge is blue. Bridge equals blue. Right, okay, so now we may have to do some things here because we aren't going to be able to play the game that they're playing. What game are they playing? They came all the way across to neck volume, which is there. That's fine. Did they come across to bridge volume? No, they extended. So everything kind of went to neck volume and then paused. So the neck volume one is okay, long enough to go there. It's the bridge volume that has to be extended by the looks of things. Sorry, the bridge wiring, or one of the bridge wires. Okay, so what they did with this is what did they do? They sort of clustered it all on top of there to be tidy, and then they sent the black wire around, and the black wire was the live wire notch, and that comes from here, and they hooked it up there. So this is their little junction wire, which I could borrow again probably. So this little junction wire went to market. This little junction wire stayed at home. Problem is, by the time you've undone all these little clips, you've really lost any sense of what was tucked away and tidied up, or what the clips were really for. Don't forget, I've still got some rescuing to do. So this, okay. Blimey, okay. So this one is neck volume, and that's now all coming off there. Everything's coming off there. Neck volume, whole of the gizmos are coming off there. Now we know neck volume is going to go to there, and what the heck is this one? Oh wow, that's grounded to there. What? How in crazy's name does that work? No, this is the output. Yeah. No, what have they done? What sort of wiring madness is this? Let's just check that out. What are we on? We're on neck volume. Neck volume, can we just have, please, can we just have neck signal coming in? What was the neck pickup in this one? Neck pickup was grey. Okay, so the neck pickup, the grey, is coming in here. Okay, there's the neck input. Gotcha. So they've grounded it to the switch and run it. So they've only gone as far as the switch, grounded it to the switch, and then run across. So that's the ground earth, that's the bridge earth. It's fine. So they're definitely using this ground. So they've grounded the pickup there. They've run the hot all the way across round the system to here. So that's the neck hot. Okay, and this is the neck is this one. So if they go in there, so what they've done is they've made sure they can jump across or can actually go round, and that's the annoying bit. They've sort of routed round. I'm not even sure if I can get my head round going to that length. So we know they've grounded this there, and we've run a long wire round for which we will need some extenders, and that's not going to be long enough, is it? Which is why they didn't do that. And that is dangerously close to there and liable to touch out, which is not what you want either. Wow. Okay, so yeah, right, let me just get this right. They've switched those around. So the input is the middle, the output is the... That's right. Reverse that. Which can be the same anyway, but they've used the outside lug as the pickup output. And the pickup output goes across to there, and it also goes across to the tone. Fine. So we go on red, we need to extend... Right, we need these two ground wires are going to want to live together, and I guess it's going to be on the switch if we play the same game as before, assuming we do. Bit of waxy stuff falling off there. Right, that can be a joint ground, but now we have to extend. We need a blue and a red wire to extend these to do what they did before, and we need some decent shrink wrap that's small enough, and I'm not sure we have it. We'll have to use the yellow stuff again. Okay, so we're going to continue the colours so we know that red is the hot of the, you know what I'm talking about, don't you? Hot from the neck. Thankfully, well, there's only two wires, so there's no issue with coil split pairs, or the coil join pairs we might call it. So we'll get a bit more of this lovely stuff for our various little fixer joints that we're going to have to do, extender joints. And now we need some solder somewhere. You'd think it would be up here, wouldn't you? But it isn't. Solder. It's gone walking. We'll have to find some spare solder, because I don't know where the actual other one has gone. Okay, right here. So I'm just putting some... Wow, this thing's got gummed up. I've ordered some more of this cleaner stuff, but it has not yet arrived, which is annoying. So hopefully I'm going to try and get this sizzling a bit and then give it a bit of a clean off in the brass woolly stuff. Chance of a bit of heat getting in anywhere. Shit, there goes my wire and blade. Come on. So these have got to be joined up, so I'm going to load one end of these so that it will join up, and I'll tin the other. Get in there. I'm going to pick up my wire, hopefully, and my blade, hopefully. Rubbish. No, that's not rubbish, that's what I need. That's that one done. Go there. So you can see that not only do you have to keep your sanity about you on this, you've also got to remember things like there are two probably 2 washers in there that I've got to retrieve before I pull the thing back through. Otherwise, I don't stand a chance of getting it sticking out in the right position. It will be too high out of the body. And this soldering iron is now playing up. There's a bit of a blob of solder on there. Okay, so oh yeah, let's just join up these two as well. That's over the paper. That's okay. Actually, let's do this just to be on the safe side. Get out of my way, thank you. And put a big blob on here, hopefully. Give me a chance of getting it onto the common earth on the switch when the time is right. Okay, so now we come to the red join. Now these are both shown as white, but I'm going to turn them into the colours they are for the outside wire. So the red continues on, so we know that it's neck. Okay, so heat up, whoops, heat up, join up. Now I'm doing this with the faint hope of being able to do what they originally did and hopefully go route it a bit further round so that it doesn't sort of clutter up the compartment, but I don't know if that's actually possible. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put this little one over here, hold it in place, hopefully, get up the gun, do that. Then I'm going to take this next same size stuff but just another piece, go over the outside of that, hopefully give it a bit of extra strength, protection. Sort of double joint, if you get what I mean. So that's the red one to come over to the neck volume. Thank God I've got my head screwed on. Now we come to the blue, which we know is the bridge, which doesn't have to go as far, but we're going to give it the same sort of treatment to begin with. Good. So that's the blue, and so I'm guessing, well not guessing, now we're committed to grounding our pickups on the switch, which the other ones were previously grounded on as well. And then running round, following the line of the pickups, I suppose. That's the plan. And when using the hot air blower, it's a bit like police officers with their worrying about their crossfire thing in high pressure situations. You've got to make sure that they're not shooting across each other's or getting each other in their field of fire. So it's all very technical. Let's see if I've got a wire that's been, I don't even know if this, I bought a load of this clear stuff, I'm not even sure it does act as shrink wrap. What I was thinking of is whether I could, I don't like this little joint here, so I was thinking about actually getting another bit of shrink wrap eventually over the top of these two, possibly. Maybe. No, maybe not. No, it's not going to go. I was thinking about having this sort of come out of a thing there. Might do if this actually works. Let's just check this one, see if it does work. If it doesn't, if it's just a bit of plastic, then we'll not bother. Also, even here I might not use those bits of, what's it? coil tie things, cable tie. I might use no, this isn't shrink. Is it shrink wrap? Oh yeah, it is. No, it's just melting it. Yeah, I might not use shrink wrap, but use cable ties instead. So this, I don't know what this is doing, or even how well it's doing it, but maybe it's sort of just protecting it a little bit. It's shrinking or it's melting, you name it. A bit rubbish. It's certainly melting. Ugh, it's certainly melted the wax covering of this. Oh, that's pointless. I've just made a sticky mess. What an idiot. Now I can't get it off. Now it won't come through. Now I'm trapped forever in a sticky mess. I'm going to have to cut it off now. Oh. Oh well. It was worth a try, probably. And just what I don't want to do is make a mess, like I just have done. Yeah, so that's the problem with these stupid wax-covered bare wires on pickups. And the wax doesn't really do much good for us. It just makes something that, if you're working with heat, you just end up with a sticky mess. That would have been better with a piece of shrink wrap, shrink tubing around it, and not this blasted lump of... Ugh, you see it? It's just a mess. Of course, now you can't really get the old stuff off very easily, unless you've got a pair of scissors or something, which I don't. Yikes. Oh my goodness me. Thank you. Rubbish. So now look, I've got two sets of wires, ground wires, that are an absolute shitty mess, covering wax. So what really we want to do is we want to join this together, take it off sideways, and cut this off. Put a bit of this on it. Oh, what did I just do? Oh, brilliant. I managed to chop off the... Well, that broke off in the... Oh, that's brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. So, I've got to start again. Thanks for melting everything. Yep. Idiot. Okay. Start again. That didn't work very well. Now please, come on. Let's go back to the beginning. So, I've got to make some more little things to protect the wax stuff. Go away. Yeah. Right, ground. Starting again. Sorry, backwards, I'm afraid. So we're going to go back in time. I'm going to rejoin this blue one. The bridge one probably doesn't have to go as far, so that can go on the ground. My little clever bits of double jointed stuff gone down the tubes. Start again. Come on, join up, please. No, that isn't any good. Stay there. Thank you. Stay there. So you can see why I prefer to do this off camera, because it just goes on forever and ever and ever and ever. Right. So we're getting back to where we were a minute ago. You to there. I don't know why wax is considered a good insulator, or no, good something for those bare wires on a pickup. I mean, I know wax is good for potting pickups and stuff, but why cover up these or mess up these pickup grounds with wax? Just doesn't seem to make sense to me. Right, I'm going to now get another little piece of this, a short piece, and I'm going to even shorter piece, and I'm going to just use it to protect the end of that. Right, now put some solder on here, because this is going to unify these two ground wires to the switch when the time is right. God, what is wrong with this soldering iron? How many thousands of degrees do I need? That's amazing. Look, it's just not doing it. This is off. Has this thing shorted itself out? Oh, fab. Unbelievable. You kidding me? What is going on? It's gone off. Now you're flashing. Is that you saying you're genuinely up to the right temperature? Do you really believe you are? You ready for action? You've gone off again. Nah, I don't believe this. Are you serious? I can't do with this. I need an iron that works. No! Cannot do this. On. Nothing. It's off. It's gone. It's died. No. That's unbelievable. I cannot afford to spend 40 odd quid on an iron that conks out. You piece of junk. Absolute piece of garbage. Well, Amazon, you're having that shit back. Why is it always the same? Why can't you get a decent soldering iron that lasts more than a week? Let's try the old one. Old Faithful that wasn't really hot enough. It doesn't fit in this this casing properly. Right, you go there, out of the way safely. You're off. You're heating up. It's unbelievable. Sorry about this. This is just depressing. Come on, melt and bubble. I don't seem to have any luck when it comes to soldering irons and their performance. This one kind of looks or better already, even though I've rejected it in disgust because it doesn't have a silicon. Doesn't have a silicon. What's it? Oh look, that's nice and hot. Oh look, that's soldering this piece nicely. Oh, that put a nice blob on there for the common earth. I'm trying to find a way to put this so it's not going to melt anything. Right, you stay right there. Okay, well, let's try again, shall we? Okay, so I've completely lost my train of thought. So this is its little line of things. Okay, so we know, let's get my cable ties out. Let's have some red ones today. Or actually clear ones, we don't use those very often. So we know the first one holds all of these four things together around about here. It's a nice little cluster. It says, look, you can all be tidy like that together. Bunk. Then this one went to the common earth right there. Where's that going to? That's going to the jack's ground point. Blimey, look at this. It's a mess. So we do need to ground this to here. Ground our pickups to this common earth here. How easily that is going to be to do is anyone's guess. Don't want that in the way, but we can't get it very far out of the way. Damn it. That's now going to melt everything else, hopefully. Hold on tight. Don't feel right. Okay, that's gone to there. So we know this one comes round to the bridge. Sorry, to the neck volume. It's the red, isn't it? Yes, red is neck volume. And we know that that's going in on the middle lug in this arrangement, which we can now facilitate thusly. Get rid of that piece of crap and get that through there. And add a little bit of reinforcement. Okay, you can sit right there, that'll do. Okay, that is the neck, beautifully done. Now we know the bridge volume lives down here, and its middle one is currently going through this mess down here, sorry, this neatly tidied up rigmarole down here. So I can pull it out, throw this bit away, but we have to put blue, this little blue chappy, all the way round this little circuit somehow. Shush. Can it get there? Is that long enough? Neck tone, that's got to go from there to there to there to there. Do you know what? The little swine isn't long enough. My fault. Sorry. Let's just take care of it before it's too late and we get caught out. More than less is better. Ow! I just pinched myself. Sorry. It is late, right? You understand, it's a late evening. I've just been to... Yesterday I was at a parish council meeting. Today, just now, I was at the village hall meeting, which I'm the sort of parish council's elected person to go on. So it's been a couple of nights of meetings, which I've got in the way of getting up here in a timely fashion. Small and double. Strengthen. Okay, joins. Hold here, thank you. Join. Get in there. Annoyingly, that moved along, so it's slightly off the place, but that's why the second strengthening wire is here, to pick up where I messed up. Can't believe I'm going to have to replace or send back that stupid soldering iron. About a month into owning it. Month, maybe a tiny bit more, possibly. Okay, so we now know that this goes as far as that. So we're going to put a cable rounds and abouts there. That gets the blue one hooked into there. Jolly good. And then the blue one comes round past here and gets sort of hooked into there. And now we've got more than too much, probably. Damn it. I'm going to put a little loop in here just to give myself some stretch room. Okay. Get in there, you swine. Come along, do as I'm asking, please. Something like that. I know. An excessive loop. Unnecessary. Right, now out comes the input, if you get what I mean. Out comes the input, chug it out there. And in goes the output. No. In goes the input. Put it there. Get the solder. And here we have. Nice. So we've got, if we think it through logically, we've got our pickups grounded on the switch. The switch is grounded to the jack by the looks of it. And we've replaced our twisty things with, what do you call it? What do I call it? I call them those things. I call them, what do I call them? Cable ties. That's what I call them. I'm looking for a flexible, bazookas. I just realised I've thrown away the one little magnetic-y thing that I had that I knew that I could use. Where is another one? Come on, there was one that was kicking around on a stretchy thing. No. Right, I need magnets, really, because without magnets, I've got magnets everywhere. That's not the problem. Here it is, a little purple thing with a magnet in the end. That's the beastie. Right, let me get. This will do. Let's put a heat gun on here. Okay, my little magnet. One. Got to figure out which one is the one that's missing it now. I got another one. Oops, I think I've grabbed hold of something I don't want to grab hold of. Two things. Oh shit, there goes my there goes my magnet now. God, it's just so unfair. Why oh why? Now my two little magnets have just dropped off when I least need it. Thank you. So that clever idea has come to a halt. But although it was a good idea originally, I've got one of them out. I think there's a second one somewhere. Probably needs recovering stroke re-skewing. I'm going to do the same again on this. It seemed to work the first time round. And there you go. Get captured. On there you go. Get captured. Fantastic. Idiots. Ah! Funny part about doing this is it ended up melting the thing, and then as soon as it melted the thing doubled back and clipped onto everything in sight, so it became utterly useless as a retrieving thing because it went ting and stuck to the anyway. Okay, so I can just chill out there for a minute. I might try and use it. Let me just find first of all if we are actually missing a that wasn't very clever, was it? Let's see if we are actually missing a... No, if we can't find it and we are still missing one of these, then what I'll end up doing is I'll end up having to put another one on if it needed to, and we've only got one on there. Alright, so let's have a look. This goes somewhere. That goes, does that go across there? So neck volume is up here. So that has to go, okay, that's interesting. So neck volume is there. That's the switch, neck volume is there. So let's start with seeing if neck volume, first of all, has neck volume got some, yes, it's got one of those star washers on it, good. If we can get neck volume into there, down, and carefully up, but nothing's too much at the moment, just gently, then we're going to go, we want to get 3-position switch in there, and up through here, hopefully. Hello. Then, okay, we got, this should be bridge volume, yes. Bridge volume. I think I've got, yeah, this one here, bridge tone is missing its thingy. And that's the one that I'll have to cut and start again. Okay. So here comes, whoa! Okay, I'm not going to take any chances while we've got it poking through. Let us get neck tone sort of attached. Let us also try and get the 3-way switch up through there. 3-way switch. We'll come back for getting a harder turn in a minute. So we've got this is what neck tone. Now the problem with neck tone is, if I'm not mistaken, we go in through here, is that neck tone comes up here, but I'm not going to be able to get this through because it's somehow in the way of, I don't know if it needs to go underneath this one here. Hellfire. Neck tone. Alright, maybe if we come this way. Come along. Neck tone. Down you go. With everything else trailing behind you. There's your little star washer, which we don't want to get caught up, please. Now we're going to bridge. Tone is back here and neck is there, so this one's going to go here, but this one has to have the washer put back on it, so we have to stop that one. Now can we get this one where it belongs? Can we try? No, not quite without doing this one first, so let's get this one sorted again. So here we want this on first, then we need another bit of the old yellow. See how mind-sapping this is? If you weren't as fabulously calm and collected as me, you might find yourself going completely insane at this point. How long have we been doing this? God, at least an hour now. Right. So we just want to get this on. We'll get the stretch on these ends here just enough now to bring this up through, we hope. None of which do we actually know that it works properly. So we got these things out of here. That's the wrong end. I think I'm going to go cut this short. So I'm going to have to go home and start a returns bloody thing going for that stupid soldering iron. Okay, so now we've put this back in the right sort of order with what appears to be the little star washer. Hopefully it'll feed itself merrily through, and perhaps try getting this one to go through as well. Right, what's that caught up in there? How is that caught? Okay, good. Spin round, please. Come on. Don't get caught up there. Ah, just you lucky swine. That thing just about tripped me. It sort of came off just as I got the grip in the right place. Whew. Come on, you can do it. Blimey. Could I really be only one pot away from doing this? Maybe. But it's the pot that may not want to do anything. Do you want to do it? Can I reach it? Can I how? Can I persuade it to come up without losing its little without losing its grip on reality. Come on, you can do it. Come on, come on. You can do it. Oh, you're coming off, you little swine. It's dropped off. You bastard. There we go. The nightmare that we didn't want to have happen. Bastard. That's nigh on impossible now. This is what I absolutely detest about these things. As you can probably imagine, how in Christ's name am I going to get this anywhere near back in place? Well, what I'm going to do is grab hold of that. I'm going to try and, thankfully, luckily, I didn't expect that to come that far through. I'm going to try and do it one more time. I don't know any better way of grabbing hold of this at the moment. You can't glue them or anything, so you're either going to get it to grab hold or you're not. So that's simple as that. Now I've got to thread the string through all the way through there and bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back. So somehow I've got to get it to come through where I need it. Hello. Bloody rubbish. Come on. Can't grip it in any which way, shape or form. Talk about pain in the arse. Sorry folks, but you can see why we luthiers type people, I don't call myself a luthier, we techs can't stand the challenge of this. It's a veritable nightmare. You can probably begin to imagine how my joy might be if and when I get this one in, tighten them all up, and it actually works. Yes, indeed. I might be thrilled beyond imagining. Okay, so this end, that end, this is cut. Come on, please, go on there. Come on. Just seat on there, please. Get on, get on, get on. Get on, get on. Ugh. Okay, so we've now got to try and get this pesky thing all the way back through there, sort of almost turning around backwards, dragging it unwillingly back through, try and push it on its way. Now it's either it's got stuck in something and it won't go where you need it to go, or it just isn't going to go. Now as we come down to here, I literally have got no more reach to push this thing into place. And there's a little bit of this, these two spiky what do you call them, washers, which are trying to block the way and make this thing, obstruct it and not allow it to come through. And there is the nearest to any chance of it getting in place, and this is where we got it to last time, and without anything to push it through with or support it with, it's going to probably drop off again. Come on, we need a little push. Come on, you can do it. Up, up, up. Thank you. Oh my God. Up. Now, I still have nothing to grip this with, so all I can hope to do now is, fingers crossed, try my best. Oh, shitty hell. One bit fell off before it went on. Try and get this to bite. Oh lordy. Talk about impossible. I just want this thing to do up before it loses any more grip and drops it down again. Don't want there to be any chance of dropping it. Okay, I'm going to give them all a very gentle tighten up before I check and make sure things are working. See, we've got a little bit of wire showing here, but c'est la vie. Okay, here we have what I'm hoping for is to bring this back. Ah, come on, don't move, please don't do it. This really looks like it could do with a washer, but it hasn't got one. Wow. So I'm going to go in, go backwards, lock it, and then carefully turn forwards to get it to bite. Looks have mercy. Well, that's interesting. So this is actually back to front. Holy cow. Alright, well, that's much of a muchness, possibly. That's just bizarre. That's the way I took it out. I'm pretty certain, but hey, maybe it wasn't. Okay, so we now have to spin this with all its attached gubbins that way or that way. Let's go that way. It's away from the sorry, it's away from the windows, the prying eyes of the general public. Hang on a minute. No, we did this before. What the hell is going on? Forward, back. Yes, that's how that was right. What on earth is wrong with me? Oh no, I didn't go back twice, did I? I went back once. Oh! I see, right, so that's the opposite way. That's the way I started. Okay. God almighty. Can this thing actually go round a second way? That's the question. I don't think it can. So I think it has to be that way round, including all its gubbins shoved out the way if possible. So we don't like it the other way round, we like it that way. Hey. Okay, let's put it on neck. Yep, bridge. All is good. Thankfully. Okay, so the time has come to tighten up the grips with it. Tighten up the switches and the pots as far as I can do it with my bare hands. Just a matter of as far as you can do it with your hands, really. There's, oh, don't like that. Problem with that is that you can run the risk of squeezing the lugs in so they hit things you don't want them to hit while you're holding on to the thing. So just double check this. Okay, aren't we better off holding these things in place like this? And as for this chap down here, I can't reach it at all, so you're only as good as how much I can do you up. Ta-da! Right. Well, I wonder what the old clock says. Where my other thing is. The timepiece. Don't know. Anyway, alright, look. I think we need to tidy up now, so let's stand this out of the way. I'll give it a polish down. So yeah, that's let's just have a quick, sorry about the view, quick look. So 1 hour 27, so that's, yeah, I predicted, or I budgeted an hour to do that. It's been an hour and a half to get that done. You know, and that's mercifully, that's a pretty simple pickup swap. No clever switching going on. So if it had been some switching, that would have been more of a pain than it was. Right, let's hang that there, a magnesy thing. That there. Am I still switched on? No, that's off. I'm going to clean up before I do the finishing bit, so you'll just have to be patient with me, I'm afraid, before I go and finish the setup part. Pickups to go back, with the guitar. All these little bits of heat shrink, which I'll keep for another day because they came in handy. They did work, not perfect, but I've never found a really acceptable way to attach pots to strings or wires or anything. You know, there should be a little device. Inventors of the world, come on. There should be some sort of little device that will grip a pot without doing it any harm as it scurries down the tube, into the bowels of the guitar. Yeah, it needs an invention. Definitely does. So all of these can go in the bin. Those can go on there for another day. That can go over there. Right, so the nice part, inverted commas, no, it is a nice part. The nice part of this is we get to the end of the wiring up bit, and we need a bit of a clean up, get rid of our soldering stuff. We're going to get rid of our rubbish soldering iron as well shortly. That's going to have to get pulled out and taken back or sent back. I'm not putting up with an iron that works for a month, less, about a month. It's just absolutely garbage for 40 quid. I mean, yeah, I understand we live in a world where you sort of don't expect things to last for a long time, but when you pay 40 odd pounds and you get a month's use out of it, it's just, no, it's not acceptable. When I say a month's use, you get a little bit of use that maybe nearly lasted a month. A couple of times a week for a month, so not good enough. Okay, so in goes the screws, which I almost forgot about. We've tightened up the jack socket, which is good. That was loose. It is now tightened. It's not the best design. It will come loose again sometime in the future, such as it is. What I'll do is give this a wash down, clean down with naphtha, and then we'll be ready to oil the board and put the new strings on. Okay. So the hard work is done. The precision part is done in terms of the leveling. We'll need to still check the last fret and the first fret action again. I'm going to take this back tonight, hopefully, and I'll keep an eye on it for a day or two, and then I will check the nut and make sure everything's working fine. And if it's working fine, I think I'm going to leave it as is, as a very, very much a custom built adjustable nut, the like of which you've never seen before. But if I have any concerns about it, I will. Well, I'll measure it up and order another one as a reserve just in case. And if I need to, we'll hold it back and just replace it with a different solid one, which I, kind of prefer not to do. I think it's a better function with the adjustable one. Now there's a little bit of extra blue wire overhanging in here. That's the only downside. That came with the rewiring, unfortunately, but I don't have the benefit of being part of the factory that does this every day and has the exact sort of step by step for getting it in the exact same place each time. It'd be quite cool if I did, but I don't. So, oh, it's odd doing a lefty. What's the scratch plate doing down here? I'm just going to do this side fixing as well. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's up a bit. There we have it. Stay still. Good. Good. Okay. Oh yes, knobs. Let's put the knobs back on. We'll say 10s are down there, 10s are at the bottom, fully open 10s, 10s, fully open 10s. Don't do that to me, come on, I want it to sit on in the right place. Thank you. I always think the whole knob thing is a really crude and odd arrangement. You know, you're pushing plastic things onto a metal spline that doesn't really want it. Okay, bit of leftover sheathing there. Okay, we're getting there. This on. Now, we originally were facing forwards, which is fine. We'll go there again, as long as we can get access. That's okay. Now we'll get a grubby rag, and put some oil on the neck before we restring. So, I'm just going to have a quick look. Oops, too much oil on my rag. I'm just going to have a quick extra double look check at the notes and make sure I know what the string gauge is that we're putting on. Very nice. I don't like to leave sort of standing oil, so standing oil, floating oil, you know what I mean. Surface oil. Thank you. There's always bits find their way onto the finish. Right. Check the notes. Notes. Right, notes. Dave. Dave. No, Dave, no. Different Dave. Dave Evans, Hartwood Revival. Left-handed. Task, yes, 35, 43. Yes. Strings got. Didn't say what strings. As far as I could feel, that came with 9s, so we'll go with 9s. Now, is that still on? No, it's off, but it's warm. Okay. Here we go. So the key thing now is to restring, and we're going to get the we're going to stretch the strings out, and after that we're going to just check and set the intonation. So, and the key thing about tuning stability on this guitar is it all comes down to the tusk nut and the ability of the strings to go through the slots smoothly without friction or without catching, and the second part of it, a second component, or the other half of the tuning stability formula, is getting rid of all the unwanted or stored up slack in your strings, and that we have to do physically and pull and stretch it all out so that it's no longer, it can't come out while you're playing it, and that's where most of the detuning occurs. Now there's a thing I was looking for which is now gone, called, where's it gone? Why do some things just vanish? That must be someone's come in here and taken them. Oh no, it's fallen down the back. That's probably more of a realistic explanation. There's a little mark here that's annoying me. I don't know what it is. It's like a little blob of something. Get rid of it. Yes, so getting the slack out of your strings and getting your nut right are the two primary components of tuning stability. And we're going to, once you've done that, you can enjoy tuning stability and without worrying. So I'm going to start with the G string. Oh, we got locking tuners. I forgot. Ooh. So line up all your tuner through holes, save you having to worry. These feel nice and positive. Okay, so here's my. Oh, tell you what. Let's bring you back close up. Sorry about this. Let's have a close up. This is much more interesting. Right. So when you start with your G, when you've got a adjustable nut, so it'll hold the nut in place. So and we hold down, pull it all the way through, and then pull back about, I would say, a fingernail's worth, and then lock it on. Or if you like, lock it and then cut the excess off straight away. That thumbnail's worth gives you a little bit of get out of jail ness. Okay, that missed the saddle brilliantly. Yeah, it gives you a bit of get out of jail, so that if you need to slack the strings off to do something like, for example, adjust the saddles on the bridge, which is fairly common on a 3-a-side type guitar with a tunematic bridge, you might have to take the bridge apart and switch the saddles round to get enough intonation room. If that's the case, then if you don't, typically what happens is when you crimp the strings down using the locking tuners, they very seriously weaken the string. And if you try to take that string off to do something with the bridge and then try and put it back on, it'll either break as you're trying to take it off, which is quite common because it's already crimped, or it will certainly break when you try to do it back up on the same crimped spot. So what I do is I put an extra thumbnail's width of string around the post, and some people would say, well, that defeats the object of having locking tuners. And you could say, well, yes, you don't have to do it, but I'm going to do it for the simple reason that I give myself one chance at undoing and redoing it. And sometimes you'll be very grateful to yourself that you did that. So it's just my little thing. It's particularly for a setter upper, but you might, if you're doing your own guitar setting or upper ring, you may well find that you reach that place and wish you'd done it too. So a thumbnail's back, probably about 1 centimetre at most. Also, I think what I find is that if you don't do that, you do it the regular way, so you push it all the way through and just lock on as hard as you can and hope it grips it. I find that because that's the only thing you've got holding the string, it tends to be, my experience is that I over tighten it, crimp it very, very hard, and it really damages it and often breaks the string because I've just used so much force to in the hope of keeping it attached. So it's difficult to know how much force you're supposed to use, so better to use a little less and allow the extra centimetre to take up some of the pull by wrapping itself a little bit round the tuner post. So what I'm going to do is I'm just looking at this. So first of all, I don't know you won't be able to see very well, but down there, first of all, the pickups are too high in their casings thingy, so I'm going to just take them down for a minute, the new pickups, get them clear of the strings as much as possible. Then I'm going to bring up the bridge a bit. Now these move while we're doing tightenings and dustings and polishings and messing arounds. Now it sounds to me like I've got to go up a little bit on the bridge as well, the nut as well. So I'll just take that up. So it's going from one to the other to begin with. A little bit of a lift there, a little bit of a lift there, a bit more of a lift there. Get rid of my spare cut-offs, and then we want an E for the first tune-up. Or should I say an A? So again, I'm just going to check. It's a little low here, so I'm going to put a little bit of a raise on the saddle. No, the thing that we call the nut. Okay, a little raise there. Now I'm going to also, while I'm at it, just check the first fret action. Sorry, the last fret action. Okay, too high now. So I'm going to dial it in. Just over 1.5 and just over 1.5, so in a little bit on the treble side. Sorry. So I'm going to just give it a little pull to seat everything. It's a bit hard to get your arm over the big lefty like this. So it's a gentle stretch. Let's tune it up again. Okay, so next thing you do to get it to stay in tune is you get thumb and forefinger and stretch the strings between thumb and forefinger. So using the thumb and the forefinger to stretch rather than stretching them across these sharp points wherever possible. So you've got quite a bit of room to push and eke out the what's that stuff, slack on all these strings. Probably find that the plain strings tend to reach tuning stability first. The round ones hold on to their slack a little bit more because presumably it's in the coils somewhere. They've got the same amount, in fact there's probably a bit more material wound around the posts on the plain strings. So when you tune up, all that detuning was stored in your strings and would have waited to come out some time down in the future when you least wanted it, when you're playing and having a nice time. So with the adjustable nut, the good thing about it is that it's tusk, and the other good thing about it is that it sits at whatever height you want it to. Now, in my experience, sometimes the plastic underneath compresses a little bit over a period of time. But you can just dial that in. So let me just have a look. It's a bit of an odd comparison. So it's slightly wider, so I may still hold on to this and look at doing the same thing again, but with perhaps a different nut. I mean, there's plenty of room, it's just a little bit more room for the fingers. Now I'm going to do a little bit more stretching if I can reach my arm over. I tend to want to be careful when we get to the high strings because we can easily break them. Ding. Okay, tuning's stabilised, so the next and final thing on the agenda today is to tech the intonation using the tuner, the micro Korg, no, the Korg tuner, and this is subjective to any individual, but we can get a good guess at it. Short. So everything's looking short here, which this comes right. So first of all, it's subjective. That's rule number one. It means that I'm intonating it for the pressure with which I fret notes. Now, does that mean no guitar tech can ever intonate your guitar? Actually, yes. That's the bottom line, is that exactly that. What was I trying first? Was I trying the D's and the low E's? Yeah, it means exactly that. You can only really do it for your own fretting strength. So I think this is short. It's going sharp, which means I need to. Oh God, it's not. Oh, they would do that, wouldn't they? They've made it. They've done it with a sort of Phillipsy screwdriver, which doesn't really let you get in there very well. Okay, so we want to counterclockwise to send this backwards. We need this to be longer. Problem we've got is if we send all this back, I think we're going to run out of intonation room. I mean, the low E is supposed to be the longest of the lot, so we might just get away with it. But so let's tune it up. So the idea being is the 12th fretted note. This is the pinged harmonic, so I'm tuning to the pinged harmonic to get it tuned in as a E, and then I fret it, and that's playing sharp. Tuned to an A, fret it, slightly sharp of A. So it tells me it's still too short, and so I'm going to push both of these, all of these, as far back as I can. The problem is we're going to, before too long, run out of intonation room, and if it doesn't work at that point, then the dreaded spectre of having to spin the saddles round to try and get a couple more millimeters of travel out of it, which I have to say isn't terribly good news, because even if we're able to do that, sometimes it's not enough. So that's the way of the world, I'm afraid. So the shortest of all strings ought to be the high E. So I'm setting it now as the shortest, and I'm gauging it off the others. And I'm going to go back up and try the high E. So we tune it to E. Spot on. On. G looking a bit sharp, but to be following the pattern, yeah, just push it back a bit. Yeah, maybe. Okay, push that G back a bit. Push that back a bit. Push that a little bit. Forward, back, and yep, that's about right. Go to the D. Yay! Okay, that's good. So you will be able to see, if I take a little flyover, oh, low battery, damn it, a little quick flyover, you'll see that we're far back. We've pushed the low E right the way back there, nearly ran out of room there. Thankfully we didn't, because I didn't want to have to take that off and take it apart. And there we have it. That's done. As I say, I'll keep an eye on this, make sure it plays and works the way I like, and that will be it for now. Thank you very much for watching. See you soon.